Welcome to Market Pulse with SC Securities and Daily FT. Here, our objective is to bring you valuable insight towards the equity market of Sri Lanka. In light of the tourism sector, we have with us here the Managing Director of Jetwing Hotels, Dmitri Cooray. So Dmitri represents the third generation of a family of hoteliers in Sri Lanka. Along with that, he has experience working for leading hotels in Singapore and Australia, where he joined the family business back in 2015. He had the designations of Operations Manager and Deputy Managing Director in Jetwing itself. So Dmitri, considering Jetwing being one of the key hotels in Sri Lanka, can you give me an overview of the hotel itself?
First of all, thank you, Brandon, for having me on this. So the hospitality industry overall in the last 12 to 18 months has seen a significant growth. From where we were, of course, everyone is aware that we had a lot of challenging times since 2019 with the Easter tax, COVID, the Argale, all of these problems, which led to the industry being at a bit of a standstill with so many issues. But thankfully, thanks to God, that things have bounced back, and we saw a very positive growth in the last financial year as well. And we are also expecting a very strong end to our financial year this year. Because for the tourism industry, December to March is the busiest period, the winter season in Europe, and we are expecting it to be extremely good, and we are also forecasting a very strong winter month. So we are expecting the coming year to be very good, and God willing, everything will go from strength to strength, and things will continue to improve.
Okay. So that being said, we expect about 2 million tourists this year and about 2.5 million tourists next year. Could you talk a bit on the growth trajectory, in your opinion, on the tourism industry itself and what Jetwing itself is doing about it?
So definitely this year we'll get 2 million plus, and like you said, we are expecting 2.5 million or more next year. And what is important is that we continue to promote and market the destination. That is something that has been lacking for a long time, and even the previous government, they were having plans, but things got a bit stuck to be launched. And there is a tendency in Sri Lanka, unfortunately, each time somebody new comes into the government or the tourism ministry, they try to change our taglines, our slogans, our branding. And as a destination, we should have one key message and keep promoting it consistently on whether it's social media, print media, TVs, whatever it may be. And that is important for us to attract not only the numbers but the correct tourists, because we have a lot of the informal sector which also attracts tourists like the backpacker market and so on. But for us to attract more high-end tourists, we need to focus more on the correct channels where we market, the correct attractions we promote, because Sri Lanka is an island that has so much to offer. Wildlife, nature, culture, the history we have 2,500 years, the beautiful beaches, tea plantations. So within a small island we have a lot, and if we continue to promote these, we'll definitely attract the correct tourists, what we expect from the different markets. So we are very confident, and as a company as well, we do have our own marketing done through social media, through our partners in different regions of the world who also help promote the island. So we are very confident that things will go from strength to strength.
All right. So the growth trajectory of yours being as that, what specific measurements do you think the government should take in order to make Sri Lanka much more appealing destination on a global scale?
I think like I said in the previous question as well, what's important, we need to have one message, clear message, and one tagline. Where we have had the wonder of Asia, miracle of the pearl of the Indian Ocean, so Sri Lanka, then we had the last one, the most recent one was come back for more. So there have been multiple taglines, slogans used in the last 15-20 years. Whereas if you take our competition, India has had the same tagline for a long time. Malaysia, Thailand, all have a very clear message, and that is important that we always have one message and draw. That way people also don't get confused, that they are aware that like when they hear incredible India or Malaysia, truly Asia, those have been there for 20, 30 years now. So we need to also have, whatever it may be, there might be no right or wrong answer, but whatever we go with, we should stick by it. And whoever who comes in should continue that without trying to change this, unless there is requirement, not to change what's in place.
Right. So of course, with hope of that, we'll dive into the business model of yours. So with events, conventions and corporate retreats, those being one of the major factors which drives revenue, could you give me a bit of insight on that side of business?
So the MICE market or the events type, there is a lot of revenue to be made, a lot of at Jetwing, to be very honest, we don't target a lot of that because most of our properties are more in the boutique to luxury segment. But our Nidamba properties and all and so forth, we do have local retreats or foreign retreats as well, corporate retreats, plus destination weddings and so on. And there are certain hotels, especially the Colombo hotels, which are well geared for the MICE events, with the large convention centers and all of that. What is required also, Colombo needs to develop a little bit more with other activities, the nightlife, more recreational activities, because when there is MICE events happen, like the conventions, they always look for few things to do either after the official work finishes. So these type of things are important, like in countries like Singapore, which is a very small island, but they are really focused heavily on this. They have created different experiences. So we also need to develop these so that we can also compete with regional players with these type of events.
Okay. So that was very interesting. Beyond these large scale events, right? There's a new trend where which recently came up, where tourists they seek for experience. So you see tourists riding three wheels and seeking for all of this local authentic experience. Now, if you could tell me how exactly do you capitalize on that trend, and how do you cater to the demand of such immersive experience?
Yeah, like you mentioned, there are people, especially younger travelers who are more adventurous, who they will hire a three-wheeler from the airport and drive around the country. So these people they are looking for something different. They are not from the traditional sense. They are not looking, but they might be if they are on a 2-week holiday. They also, for example, most of our hotels, they may stay 1 or 2 nights, or they may come, like our properties in CDRA, they might come. We have the low risk conservation site so there are people who will come just for that experience or have a meal. They may not spend too much on accommodation, but they will spend on dining, they'll spend on different experiences like that. So there is attachment as well. So they may not be our main markets we focus on, but they are a part of it, and they will come to experience our dining options in our properties. And if we have any unique experiences like the low risk conservation site and so on in CDRA, we do get just like that. Plus there is a rotation. If they're staying for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe after a week they'll decide, okay, let's spend a little bit more and stay at a better quality property. Little pamper themselves after staying in maybe a few hostels or homestays. They decide to have 1 or 2 nights in little bit more comfort. So we do see people coming up and staying in our properties as well like that. So this is a growing trend, and in addition to the three-wheelers, they also drive some on scooters, the train experiences, doing in buses. So it's a different, maybe 15-20 years ago this type of travelers weren't there, but now with social media and all of these videos and everything you see, people are coming in with different experiences.
Yeah, I think it's a given that the tourism industry itself will catch up on all of these trends. So I would like to shift the topic towards a very important factor when it comes to this, which is talent retention. So as Sri Lankans, we had to go through a lot in the past couple of years, starting with the Easter bombing attack, followed by COVID, and then we had the economic crisis. With that, we saw a lot of migration happening as well. In your perspective, judging only in your perspective for the hotel sector, how would you retain and attract employment in this field?
So there have been a lot of people, like you said, they were going through a lot of difficulties and they decided to go overseas.
Yeah.
In our particular industry, we had two forms. One is the people who go to the Maldives or the Middle East. They go for a short period, maybe a few years, 2-3 years. They gain experience and they come back, which for us is not a bad thing as well, because they learn something new and they also bring that knowledge back. Then there was also a segment who migrated from to Australia, Canada, the UK or Europe. Actually, we are also seeing people returning back.
Okay.
Actually this year, one of our managers who went to Australia last year, after about 6-7 months, he called us and said he wants to come back, because what a lot of people don't realize is the grass is not always green on the other side. It might be rosy. You might think most countries are in a political mess. If you take globally, there are very few countries that are stable. Whether it's the UK, they have had over 5 prime ministers in 3-4 years. Australia, no prime minister has served a full term in 25 years. The US. So most countries are not perfect. No countries. And as Sri Lankans, what we have to always remember is, when we live in our own country, we are always a first class citizen.
Yeah.
But if you go to anywhere else in the world, you'll be treated as a second or third class. So it's always important that you be proud and patriotic to where you belong and to give back. It's not easy, like you said, I understand people went through a lot.
Yeah.
But as a nation, we need to build, and if the youth leave, then you're only left with old people who pretty much then the country will go to ruin. So as the responsible youth, it's our duty as well to work towards improving, whether the corruption, to all these problems are there, no doubt. But like I said, corruption is there in most parts of the world. Sure. Even in Singapore recently, one of the ministers he was arrested so whether it's even a country like Singapore, which is supposedly one of the most politically stable, safest, corruption free, they too have problems. So there is nowhere that is perfect, but people do realize they go for the betterment of families, etc., but they realize there is no place like home. And so they do return. So we did have a lot of people leaving, but we also seen people who left returning, which is good news. And God willing, everything continues the way we do, Sri Lanka will be one of the best places to live in the future as well.
So hopefully we see that pattern happening in the future as well. To talk about marketing, well, we saw a lot of influencers coming to Sri Lanka and doing various campaigns to boost the tourism industry itself. Some of them being Nas Daily, who is a well-known YouTuber as well. So, in your opinion, how do you strategize your branding activities? Like I'm talking about digital marketing and social media. How is that perspective of yours when it comes to Jetwing?
So like you said, the previous government tourism board, they did invest a lot in the social media, especially Nas Daily coming in and other influencers from different parts of the world.
Sure.
We too, as a company, we work with different influencers depending on the requirements, the markets. Plus, what we also look at is the content we create, because for example, our properties are like where we cater to may not be only the Instagram, YouTube following. So we do have different channels, whether it is through other forms of social media to plus even print as well, and where we cater direct marketing. And we also have partners in different parts of the world, the tour operators and all, who also promote the destination to cater to different markets. And it's very important to not always have your eggs in one basket and when you're spending on marketing.
Yeah.
You should cater to different clientele, and also people like you said earlier, there are different things people look for, because no longer is what earlier Sri Lanka purely marketed itself on sun, sea, and sand were the three main points they were marketing. But now there is a lot more to market, whether it's the cultural side, the experiences, the wildlife, all of that. So when we are marketing as well as a company, we focus on different aspects, and because we have properties pretty much all around the island, we have to also showcase different parts. So we as a company have gone into more lesser known areas such as Vallavaya, Valley Mother, all these more quaint areas which also have a lot of history, the tea plantations, the rice paddy fields, all of that. So we as a responsible company also, not only in addition to promoting the more well-known destinations like Yala, Sigiriya, Kandy, so on, we also have ventured out to lesser known areas and are looking at how we can spread tourism, and the benefit of that trickle down. Where the beauty with tourism is everybody benefits, whether it's a hotel to the person selling teen coconut on the side of the road, everyone can benefit from tourism. And tourism as an industry, 80% of the money which comes in as dollars remains in the country, because it's whereas certain industries, because of a lot of imports done, there's a lot which goes out as well.
Yeah.
So for the country's benefit also, most of the dollars remain within the country. It circulates amongst from large hoteliers, travel agents, the guides, to the local vendors, handicraftsmen, all of that. So there's a lot of benefit to the economy, and that's where we also see how we can promote it more and go into other areas so more people can benefit as well.
So a follow-up question on that. How would you position yourself in the market? So Jetwing of course has a very good product portfolio all over the country, and of course there would be many other hotels which cater the same market as well. If you could tell me, how would you differentiate yourself from the competition, and also how would you balance luxury with affordability and cater the high end and the budget conscious market?
So yeah, like you said, we do have a variety of properties.
Yeah.
From our more high-end properties such as Saman Villas, Villuvina, Candy Gallery, that we target a certain audience.
Yeah.
Then we do also have most of our properties are in the 4 to 5 star range, slightly larger properties. And we also have another limited service brand called Hotel J, where we have 3 properties, and another brand called City Beds, which we only provide the rooms. So these all help us to cater to a wide range, and where we try to always, our biggest asset is our people.
Okay.
We have a little over 3,000 people, associates at Jetwing Hotels, and they are the ones who make the difference, because it's very easy to build a hotel if you have the capital, or you can put up a building, but it's that human touch that makes the difference, how that warmer, the personalized service, and Sri Lanka is known for that. Thankfully our people are naturally very warm. We have a very hospitable people,
Yeah.
the genuine smile, all of that. So that is what we always want to emphasize, and we do invest a lot in our training and getting the people the knowledge required, because when we recruit somebody who's 17, 18 years old, what we don't look at too many qualifications, but we look whether the person can smile. That's the first step. Then we start teaching them English. We have a program called the Jetwing Youth Development Program, where we state students from the underprivileged backgrounds. We take them and we train them free of charge, and we actually now we pay them a monthly allowance for coming, because some can't afford the transportation even from to the center. So we do all of that, and we provide them, in addition to teaching them English, we teach them the basic front office skills of the hotel, housekeeping, food and beverages, the kitchen, all of that. And then we recruit them into our properties, or they can learn from us and join somebody else as well. So that's where we try to always differentiate ourselves, by the service aspect, the genuineness in our hospitality. Plus, of course, like I said, we also go into different areas in Sri Lanka, which some others don't venture to. The northern part of the island, Pothuwil, Vallavaya, Valimada, all of these are up and coming destinations which also offer beautiful surrounding sceneries and experiences. So we always try to differentiate ourselves, create new experiences within the properties or around the properties as well. Whether like in Vallavaya, for example, whether it's a village walk, you walk through the paddy fields, even for a lot of people in Colombo, many haven't experienced that. So we try to create different things which hopefully will allow us to stand out and differentiate ourselves and continue to grow in the future as well.
Since Jetwing is a key player in the consumer service industry, seems like the tourism industry has a very positive direction ahead in Sri Lanka. So thank you, Dmitri, for being with us here today despite your busy schedule.
Thank you for having me as well.
That's that. We hope that today's discussion has given you insight on the growth potential of the tourism sector in Sri Lanka. Thank you, and we'll be back with more insights.
For more latest news, subscribe to FTTV.